The US presidential election is literally 5 days away and counting. I'm going to take you through a very important chart and explain to you what happened the last time this particular chart spiked up to Bitcoin and the entirety, not just of crypto, but also the stock market. It's a really important video. Let's run the numbers. This particular chart is the VIX, or the fear gauge of the main market, the stock market. Last time the VIX spiked up, what happened to Bitcoin? It basically plummeted from a little over 68,000 all the way down to around 54. Therefore, looking at the VIX is a very important thing to do, because if we don't do it, we could find ourselves on the wrong side of the trade and on the wrong side of price action. What's happening with the VIX at the current time? I'll just zoom in a little bit more. Now what I'm going to do is invert Bitcoin's price history. Now what do we see? As the VIX spikes up, this means that Bitcoin and the entire crypto market is spiking down, unfortunately. When the VIX comes up, what is crypto doing? You got it, it's coming down. When the VIX goes down, what is crypto doing? It's going up. I'll uninvert that. You can see it right there. It's always a good idea to directionally align your charts. Now, what's happening at the current time? For sure, Bitcoin is going up. There's no question about it. But what is the VIX doing? This would tend to suggest that the VIX is going down, but is that in fact the case? If we look here, we can see the VIX is actually gathering a degree of momentum. It's also under a degree of support. These two things actually put the favor and probabilities for the VIX coming up rather than the VIX decaying. Of course, we always have to do our three-dimensional risk management. We have to be prepared, for example, if the VIX actually goes down. But also stacking probabilities, we can see that the VIX is not actually weak. It's not decaying. It's not coming down like this. In fact, it's basing and it's coming up. Now, what does this mean, or what could this potentially mean for price action both inside the stock market and crypto? If the VIX continues to come up, we would expect it to encounter resistance around that 2350 mark as just a first port of call. If we bounce off there and come down and decay, well, that's fantastic. But what if we don't? What if we go even higher? What would that mean? Any spike in the VIX is, of course, associated with negative price momentum inside the crypto market. Let me just uninvert that again to give you a bit of a clearer picture. If the VIX comes up, what's Bitcoin and therefore the entire crypto market doing? Well, it's coming down. If the VIX comes down, what is the crypto market doing? And of course, this applies to the stock market as well. It's coming up. Now, what happens if the VIX comes up? Well, we witness the crypto will come down. And we've seen the VIX come down recently. And we've enjoyed a bit of an upsurge. But this basing action should be something that you are paying attention to. But can. Everybody is saying Bitcoin all-time new high. Fantastic. Well, that may or may not be the case, and it's really unimportant. How could you say it's unimportant? It's the most important thing out. Well, not really. I'll get to Bitcoin structural levels in just a minute, but the concept is don't worry about stories. Stories are always saying things like this. Oh, Bitcoin is going up. It's going to the moon. It's going to, God, what happened? Oh no, Bitcoin is going to the moon. What's happened? Oh no, again. Look, this is just inducement. This is what the institutions do. They drive price up to trap people on the wrong side of the trade. But think about it from the other perspective. When the VIX spikes, that is the single best time to get into whatever you want to get into. I can't believe you say something like that. Why on earth would I get into anything when it's coming down? Why would I buy on red? I don't know if it's the bottom. It's not important if it's the bottom. What's important is you get a good deal. And you get very good deals when you see the VIX starting to roll over the other way. That's a very clear signal for your investments and trades to load up. not to sell down. For example, it takes a lot of patience to understand that when we get a break of trend, especially inside the VIX, that is an ideal time to start stacking your sats or start opening even more aggressive positions inside the stock market. Well, that's interesting. Why don't other people talk about it? I don't know. Maybe they haven't been inside financial markets for very long. Maybe they don't have financial backgrounds. Or it's quite possible they just actually don't know. But this is something that you really need to keep your eye on. If you keep your eye on this, especially when you get a change of trend to the upside, that indicates that you should be a little bit cautious. Why should you be cautious? Well, the potential is things could turn around. Does it always happen? No, not necessarily. But if you get a sustained increase, yes, it does. One of the things that I never do, I do not cherry pick. When you look at data, data is what it is. And we must always embrace price reality. So for example, if you were looking at something like this and we were here and you started to see the VIX go up, but you also saw Bitcoin going up, would you be loading up on your positions here? Or would you be starting to say, hang on a second, this VIX is starting to go up. I know what that means. There's an inverted relationship between the VIX and the entirety of the crypto space. If we see the VIX going up, in all probability, the stock market and also crypto will be making its way down. If that is in fact the case, maybe I better chill out a bit and show a little bit of patience. Well, that's not a bad idea. Patience actually pays. Many people who follow the stock market are acutely aware of the VIX. Unfortunately, not so many people in the crypto market. Here's the S&P 500. You remember what was happening with Bitcoin? As Bitcoin was coming down, what was the VIX doing? It was going up. And as Bitcoin was going up, what was the VIX doing? It was coming down. Now, what are we noticing with the S&P 500? Well, they do tend to follow each other, don't they? Now, what does this mean? For stocks like Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, you name it, it doesn't really matter. Well, if the major indices are coming down, guess what the components are doing? Well, they're coming down as well. Okay, but, how bad are things? Are we actually getting a change of trend? Well, yeah, we are. Now, is this change of trend problematic? Well, we've had a really big surge up. If we get a consolidation and a movement down into around that 57.30 level, that would be absolutely fine. That would be a normalized retracement. Well, how is price going at the moment? Is it strong? No, it's done 2 failures, and this is on the daily basis. Oh, okay, well, what does that mean? It means in all likelihood, we're coming down to this area of around 57.30. Now that's according to recent indicative price, but if we actually throw our structural levels up here, where is the real resistance? Now you're asking the right questions. It's 57.14. This is where we'll find our support. Our buyers will come in around these levels to defend price. What about structurally at this 58.30 mark or 58.25? Have we managed to maintain that? No, we've been rejected. It's not looking too good. And we're losing a bit of power. If you looked at junk bonds and you were doing your cheat sheet, you already know there's a problem inside the markets. But Ken, I don't want to hear this. I only want to hear it's going up. Well, think about it this way. If you really believe in what you're putting money into, don't you want to get it on sale? Please let me know in the comments. Is it better to buy when there's a discount or better to buy when there's a premium? What about mega cap stocks like Apple and Nvidia and all of those? Do these particular stocks, the market leaders, the Mag 7, do they throw any influence on Bitcoin? Is there any directional correlation between them? Yeah, there is. You can see it quite plainly here. What we're seeing is Bitcoin in the blue. Bitcoin is a risk-on or risk-sensitive asset class. It really sniffs out if people want to put their money into the markets or not. Now, how can you use this? Even if you are only in the stock market, do as Larry Fink recommends, look at Bitcoin. Let's zoom in and have a look at Bitcoin. When we look at recent price action, we can see it's approaching a support level at the current time. Now, what does this mean? It means that basically Bitcoin needs to prove itself now. It needs to get above at least 72,600. Of course, we need to look at the structural levels, but just from a eye charting perspective, if you understand that structure is always obeyed, but you must look at the retail levels as well. You must at least be aware of how retail looks at a price chart. So how does retail look at a price chart? It basically looks myopically. It just takes a small skerrick of the time. For example, this might be 24 hours or a couple of days, but it certainly doesn't look across all of price history. You realistically need to do this if you're going to get statistically significant support and resistance levels. And that's exactly what Level 1 and Level 2 standard certification do. They look across all of price history. We can see that this particular level of structural resistance just above 72,400. And we've been seeing what is happening here. Well, this is lower, lower, lower. It's a series of lower highs. Now, this is a particular problem because it means the sellers are squishing things down. Why would that be the case? Because the VIX is coming up. Ah, okay. So the stock market does indeed impact the crypto market. Of course it does. It always did. Well, all the crypto YouTubers just say you don't need to look at the stock market. Well, that would be like all the stock market influencers saying you don't need to look at crypto. You need to look across everything. You also need to look at Forex to understand where the DXY is going. Forex is really important. That sounds like hard work. Well, a little bit, until you get used to it. Now, what is happening here? Okay, we've had a bit of a break, but it is being squashed currently by the sellers. We've got sell pressure in here. Now, if we come down, where are our statistically significant support levels? One at 71,600 and another one at 71,280. But if the bulls get back in control and confirm price movements above 72,600, guess what? That previous all-time high could be taken out. But Ken, I only want one direction. It's either going up only or down only, or up only or down only, or up. You get the idea. Price is always moving in a wave. Just get yourself out of the concept the price can only go in one direction. I just challenge you to find a price chart that just goes one direction. Well, I guess you could if you found something that's falling off to zero, but a normal price action chart would look up and down all the time. And that's how you make your money. You want this volatility. Can you imagine if a price chart was like that? Just flatline. Well, so would your money. Flatline. That's exactly how investors and traders make their money. When price goes up, well, they can sell. And when price comes down, they can buy. But unfortunately, it's done the other way very frequently. When price goes up, everybody gets excited. Oh my God, it's going to the all-time high. Oh no, what happened? Oh, don't worry, it's going to the all-time high. Oh no, what happened? You get the idea. Sounds like Jerry Seinfeld. The thing is that you want to exercise patience when you see a confluence of different indicators inside the charts and looking at your intercorrelation and interconnection, which is all about what the cheat sheet does. You're going to join the top 5%, and that's actually where you want to be. So what are we seeing right now, currently? Bitcoin is a little bit weak. The bears are in control. They may push it down to 71,280 unless things get above 72,600, and then we may see the previous all-time high taken out. Pretty cool. What a date. Now, if you're saying that you need to look at total crypto market cap to know where Bitcoin is going, you are a legend. I'm totally proud. And I just love our global family. What a group of awesome people. Thank you so much for being here. I really love sharing this time together. Now, what is total crypto market cap doing? We know that total and crypto market cap, especially from a structural perspective, tend to confirm each other and tend to interact with each other as well. Now, what are we seeing down here? Ooh, this is good. Look at all this structural support underneath crypto. Literally, the entire crypto market has structural support below it. And what about here, right back before we just took off into all this structural resistance? We've got structural support down there as well. And what about this? Oh, ooh la la, a positive CTKS gap. What does that mean? It means that there's no resistance. Price could just fling itself up here. But what would have to happen to do that? We must see the VIX cratering down, and this will just spark crypto into a rally. In other words, what you need to do is to become a student of the charts. Understand, when you have a lot of structural support levels, this is really good. This is exactly what you want, because if things come down, they're going to hit these structural levels again and again. If they get weaker, they're going to hit lower structural levels. Now, it's not conclusive what at the current time crypto will do. There is certainly just a minor degree of weakness, but it's not significant. It is literally minor. Now, what could actually transfer out of the next 24 hours? Look at the VIX. The VIX is your key. If the VIX starts to come down, expect a broad-based rally inside crypto and also the stock market. It's really a question of doing the cheat sheet and just zeroing in on what is moving the charts with the most statistical significance. Now, if the VIX spikes up, we would expect crypto to sell down through these levels. At least we know where the safety nets are. What typically happens is people do not know where the safety nets are and they think there are none. It's just going to go to zero. Nah, it's going to go to structure. And they think from the opposite perspective that it's all fresh air. No, it's not. There is structure in there. Knowing where the safety nets are, in other words, the structural support levels, is incredibly important. If you get any kind of broad-based sell-off, you need to know where they are. If you don't know where they are, that's a big problem, because what you will find is that you could end up selling just as price is going to turn around, and you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. So this is on, as you see, this is on the daily basis. I'm just going to zoom in here and go in a little bit more granularly and show you where the structural resistance levels are and structural support levels are. And if you would like a different chart for me to pop up tomorrow, please let me know in the comments what you would like to see. Many people say, why should we look at structure at all? Doesn't it really just come down to the fundamentals? Well, no. Yes and no. What you can just look at, if you look at Solana, this is the price. This is where people are going to buy and to sell. So if you were selling right now, that is what you would get. And if you were buying right now, okay, you could possibly get that if your order gets filled. Now, what does this mean? This is the only reality. A lot of people say, no, other things are the reality, the community is the reality, and the tokenomics are the reality, and all sorts of things are the reality. Well, they're really important things. But what if you didn't know at 182 you had all of this structural resistance, and as price left this big level around the 170 mark of structural support and started to break out through a positive fresh air gap, the next level of structure of resistance where all the smart money was hanging out to sell this thing down would be here around that 178. If you don't know this information and you know all the fundamentals, guess what? It's really hard to invest or trade because you will miss time. So what are we seeing right now inside Solana? We're seeing lower highs being made. So this is a high and this is a lower high, and we can see that the sellers have exerted so much pressure at especially around that 177 structural resistance level, that it couldn't even mean revert. It couldn't even get back up to here and show a little bit of a sign of strength. It's not SOSing at all. It's showing weakness. Why? Because of the VIX. What I would like you to do is, when you look at a chart, see through the chart to all of the other charts that are influencing that chart. This is a professional thing. Not many people do it, but you will make a fortune if you can. Now, one thing that we know down here around that 170 level is a lot of structural support. That's beautiful, because it's not like a fresh air gap where things can fall like a brick. You've actually got structural support levels. Now, what happens if we take out this 177 and the 178? That's really constructive. That is showing the bulls are getting back in control, but they'll have to get above that 182 to really confirm it. So please be aware of that. If the bears get into control, they have to come down to around that 171.60 and push back through that until they get to around the 170 mark. And this is really quite strong. A lot of buyers will be coming in here to defend this level. Or alternately, you could just look at price action like this and make a lot of guesses. But as a community, we're really scientific, and we also use the method to just view forward price action. We can tell where price is getting stronger and weaker because of its relationship to structure. One thing that's really important at this current time is patience. If you use patience, you can actually just wait till you want to get into the market at the right time. It's always good to pick up a bargain, but you always know. You never know where the bottom is, and we don't know where the top is. What we do know is where structure is. And structure is so incredibly powerful. At the start of the month, we draw up these CTKS paths, which project the likely momentum of price from the start of the month until the end of the month. And when we look at NVIDIA, because we can apply this to anything, including gold, wow, or copper, or whatever you want to apply it, NVIDIA, and we can see that we're starting to come into that positive normalized price path. Here we were a long way away from that, and look at where we've ended up. Just awesome. Patience really pays. And I was mentioning gold just before. We can see from this month's service the estimate is pretty close at the current time. We're just following that normalized positive price path, and gold has been going for it, but it's still structurally bound. It is always structurally bound. And these particular CTKS paths, you can learn how to draw them yourself inside Level 2 Standard Certification. Or if you want me to do it for you, you can just join the service, and inside the video I'll show you where the paths are. The greatest suggestion that I have is to keep your eye on the VIX at the current time. We've seen the S&P 500, and last month's price path did a pretty good job of estimating at the start of the month where the S&P 500 could end up on a positive price path trajectory. This month, we've seen positive momentum and also seen the VIX starting to base around. This is starting to put negative price momentum inside the S&P 500. This is why I always say, please make sure that you look at a wide variety of charts, because you'll need to. The financial markets are a professional game. And a professional game means that you're not in the amateur leagues, you're in the pros. And so the key is to do just exactly what the professionals do. The professionals look through the charts that they're looking at to other charts that they know impact the chart that they're putting money into. All of this has been focused on Bitcoin, but I wanted to give you a way to get X-ray vision through seeing through different charts. It is a bit of a different way of doing things, but boy oh boy, is it effective. There were so many fantastic comments in yesterday's video where we talked about being prepared and not scared. In today's comments, I would love to talk about patience. Patience absolutely pays. Let's have a quick look at Rule 184. Profit requires patience. Ah, no. Why can't profit require impatience? Why can't we FOMO all over the place and FUD all over the place and make money? Well, maybe if you're lucky you can, but a long-term sustainable way, yeah, not so much. You might like to think about it this way. Patience is all about seeing the bigger picture. If the VIX is spiking up, or at least it's rounding around and looking like it's going to put in a bit of a positive spike, well, that could be a really good indication to take some profits or at least position yourself correctly to buy at different structural levels. Remember, nobody can ever tell you what to do. You are the only one who pulls that buy or sell button. If you can even pull it, I think you push it. But the idea is you're the only one who can do that. Therefore, you must be 100% responsible for doing it. And don't worry about if you get anything wrong, because there is no wrong. There's only learning. A lot of people understand, and this takes a lot of time to understand really, that every time you fail, there's no such thing as failure. You don't fail. You find another way to unlock the lock of success. You find another way to do things better. You learn, you elevate your skills, you find different ways, and that will push you up. There is no setback without double the setup. So the next time somebody talks to you about, losing or failing, you can just say, no such thing. What are you, at high school? Ken, why do you say that? Because high school and school is all about competition. You need to be the best. You need to win the race. Well, when it comes to life, you don't need to win the race. You just need to be the best you that you can be. This is quite an interesting thing. Your authenticity should always be founded on kindness. A lot of people are very unkind. They're critical, they're unkind, they're argumentative, they're angry, they're all sorts of things. But that just means that that particular person does not have inner peace and outer peace. Now, why does that matter? Because if you don't have these two things, inner and outer peace, it means that you can't focus correctly. It means that learning is very, very difficult, and it means somewhere, somehow, in the past, you haven't forgiven yourself or other people for what happened, whatever that is. Inside financial markets, you will be learning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's the most humbling thing that you can ever experience. That's why each and every day, just find something to be grateful for. You create your own happiness. And remember, money is not the end of all things. Money is just a tool. It's a way to get what you want. And if you're just focused on an unlimited thing, a thing that never has a cap on it, like government spending, you're going to be consistently miserable. Life is not about what you get, it's about who you become. And who you become should always be the kindest version of yourself. But Ken, if I'm kind, people will take advantage of me. And what are we talking about this anyway for? I thought we were a crypto channel. Shouldn't you be mooning all over the place? Well, that's not me. Actually, what we need to do is to just learn, to be really humble, because in life, you're just overcoming all of the different challenges that are sent your way. And they're sent your way so that you can learn. And if you open yourself up to learning through your persistence and commitment to improving your own kindness and authenticity, you will find not only through your gratitude, but through your inner and outer peace, you will become happy. And isn't that the real goal? And of course, the money helps as well. The key in life, if you get a pullback, realize that it's giving you strength for the next life rally. Just be dedicated and committed, knowing that you either win or learn. And there's no point in blaming, no point at all. Don't empower circumstances, don't empower other people. Empower yourself. How do you do that? Just through learning. That's it. If the past is not serving you, burn it. And always remember, yesterday, that's done and dusted. Opportunities in life reset every day. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. And please leave some comments on patience. I think it's such a good thing to share with people. Bye for now.